everyone, my name is Gallo, and for my project I decided to write a classical piece of music on my violin and research why music affects the brain and brings us emotions. I chose this as my passion because ever since I was about 7 I have been playing the violin, and it has been something that constantly challenges me to do my best and reach for a higher standard. I also just find music in general fascinating, and I think it's amazing the beautiful things it does for our society. For this project, I had a few goals. Some of my personal goals were to just make a nice piece of music, but I also really wanted to learn about how to write music and the process in creating that, and I've also just wondered about writing the sheet music, and I've never been able to do that before. I also wanted to encourage other people to learn how to play a musical instrument, because I think that's a beautiful thing that many people should learn how to do. When I was creating my musical piece, I first started by recording clips and ideas of musical measures that I could incorporate into my song. Then I had to link them together with transitions. Then I basically had 2 things left to do. First being to actually create the sheet music, and then I had to record the song to upload for this class. As you can see here, this is where I printed out my sheet music for my visual representation, and I also included my essay here. The biggest roadblocks I encountered throughout this project started mainly during quarantine, when I faced a lot of procrastination. I think this was probably because of all the stress I had, and it just didn't give me any incentive to actually complete the project. If I could change anything, I would have started earlier, and I would have spent less time on the first phase of creating all my clips, because I made so many, but I didn't have the time to perfect all of them and actually turn them into music. Throughout this project, I think I mostly showcased the IB Learner Profile trait of inquirer, because, for example, in my research paper, I needed to constantly be asking questions to myself and thinking of new things to research. And I also think that I showcased inquirer in my musical piece because it was a new thing for me, so I really needed to learn more about it and ask questions as much as possible. The most insight I gained about myself during this project was about my creative process. For example, I learned that I do best and I have my most creative ideas in the evening or during the night, because that's when I'm reflecting on my day, and I just seem to produce better music then. In my opinion, the pioneer who made one of the greatest influences in classical music is Arcangelo Corelli, and I say this because he really created the fundamentals for violin, and many classical musicians agree with this. Also, he made some beautiful pieces of music, which I enjoy a lot, and he also taught a lot of famous violinists how to play their music. For example, one famous musician he taught was actually Antonio Vivaldi. There are many ways that I could say music has influenced history, but I am going to choose how protest music has influenced our society and politics throughout the years. One good example I have is a song called Go Down Moses that was created by slaves based on stories from the Bible. And in fact, I learned that it was actually used as a code for the Underground Railroad, and I just found that fact very interesting. For the global significance of music in present times, there's a lot of things I could say, again, but I am going to choose how music affects education. I've actually learned that music improves one's overall education and can increase your cognitive ability as well as your ability to read and write and do math. In the future, Music will continue to influence in many ways. For example, it will continue to bring us joy and make sure that everyone's voices can be heard. And I think that music will always be a part of our society. Goodbye, everybody, and thank you for listening to my presentation.